We have our next talk by Himanshu Chawla from Web3 Auth. This is going to be the last talk before the lunch.
Okay, so the scope of today's talk is to we will look at the current state of UX in the Web3, how currently onboardings look like in the Web3 space, and we will see why it is quite challenging for the users to get onboarding into Web3 apps since there are a lot of new lingos and tooling involved here, so they find it really difficult to get onboarded. And we will see what users are already familiar with uh, and how we at Web3 is solving this problem of providing the very seamless user experience that you are already familiar with. And finally, we will go through a UX checklist. It's kind of hygiene checklist for your app that you can further adopt in your app to further improve the user experience. So that's the agenda for today. So uh, this is where we left it. So often in the Web3 apps, the best Web3 apps tends to lose their user experience in pursuit of their security. This statement really holds true in Web3 space because security is one of the crucial component in the Web3, and at the same time, it gets very difficult to maintain the good user experience when you are delivering the security in your app. And in the Web3 app, what we are doing, we are giving the security in the hands of user, which we are not comfortable in doing with. We are not used to managing our private keys and all at all. So and also there's a lot of new onboarding flows that we have to get familiar with, like downloading a third party wallet before using a game, or we have to learn some new terms like gas price, gas fee. I mean, they are quite developer oriented terms, but as a user we have to learn them. So that's affect our user experience of the game a lot. So we'll see how we are improving it. So this is the current state of the UX onboarding, which looks like in Web3. So generally, what you do when you start playing a game or start using any app, you just go to or download the game, go to their website. You have to download a wallet, and downloading a wallet itself consists of 3 or 4 steps. First, you have to install the wallet. Then you have to note down the seed phrase, and then you have to confirm the blockchain connection. This process itself can take 10 to 15 minutes. So no one will be going to play your game if they have to go through this set of process initially. And after that, when they start using your game, there are other challenges. Like to start using your game, they need some tokens or crypto in their wallet. Generally, most of the games ask them to go to some third-party exchange or fiat on-ramp, buy crypto from there, and do some gasless transactions as well. So once user is leaving your app, there are high chances that he will never come back. So it should be good if we can incorporate these things like KYC and fiat on ramps and even the gasless transaction within the app to improve the user experience. So this is where Web3 Auth shines at. We solve the first 4 steps for the user. We really abstract it down. Usually take 10 to 15 minutes for the user to do the whole onboarding process within a game. We convert the conversion rate to like 15 to 30 seconds. And I will show you a demo later how we are doing it. So this is what users are already familiar with. You are mostly familiar with using your Google sign-in or passwordless sign-in because that is simple enough. And most of the gamers are on Discord or some other gaming platforms. They just want to use their existing onboarding flows. They don't want to get the headache of downloading a wallet or doing some fancy stuff just to play the game. But at the same time, the challenge is that how to provide the security, the underlying non-custodial guarantees of a wallet. So we at Web3 Auth try to do the same thing. We provide the same user experience that you are familiar with in Web2 apps, but at the same time, we guarantees that your private key is totally non-custodial. By non-custodial, I mean that it is not being stored anywhere on the server. So, and generally, how it looks like, how we are onboarding user, I will show you a demo video actually here, that how, what is the current flow look like. Can you play the video? So this is one of the game which is using us, Skyweaver. So it is like same as your Web2 experience. You are just clicking on Google and then, but there is a lot happening in the background. It's just not your Google sign-in. We fetch we, we are communicating in the background with the Torus nodes and fetching the shares and combining the private key, combining those shares to generate the private key. I will explain in detail how this combination is working, but this is how smooth it looks like. So I was able to do login into this game in 30 seconds, even on a slow internet connection here. Usually it took me like 10 to 15 seconds in New Delhi or anywhere with good internet connection. So yeah, this was the demo and how it feels like to use Web3 auth in your game. And it is totally non-custodial at the same time. So what we do, what our goal is, we are trying to onboard as many as users into decentralized gaming industry or mostly Web3 apps. What we provide, we have open source SDKs. You can just plug and play into your games, and we are totally Web2 compliant. So if your game is already using OAuth2 or OIDC standards, you can just integrate this plug and play model within 10 minutes, and it is totally white labeled. It means like you can even add your branding to this model, and you can change the theme and all. And even you can build your own UI just the way I showed you in the earlier demo. And if you want to look at our code and all, it's totally open source. You can just go to our GitHub and start exploring from there. So how we really are doing this magic? So what we do, so generally in blockchain or Web3, you have a user key, right? So instead of storing that key in a centralized storage, what we do is we split that key into different factors, and each factor can be accessed by access point. So one of the access point is user device, and thus how it is secured, it can be secured using your Touch ID, Face ID, and all. The second access point can be your social login, and it is being secured via a Torus network. So we have a Torus network which is hosted by the industry stakeholders like Binance, Matic, and Etherscan. We have total 9 nodes running globally. And what we do, we split this share B, which is SSO login, into 9 different shares. And when you do a Google login from any game or app, we fetch those shares and generate a private key in the front end. So private key is not being stored anywhere, it is being reconstructed on the front end. And at the time of login, you need only 2 of these shares. One can be your Touch ID, Face ID, or the second can be your Google login, or your recovery share as well. Recovery share can be your password, some kind of security question, or it can be a backup phrase as well. So it is totally flexible and not limited to only 3 shares. In the current setup, we have these 3 shares, but you can extend this to n number of shares. You just need 2 of the shares to log in into any app. And yeah, so this is how it works. On the right side, you can see the modal that we provide. It is built for both mainstream and crypto native users, because as a mainstream user, you can log in with your Google and Facebook and all. But as a crypto native user, when you get advanced into the Web3 space, you may want to use some third-party wallet like MetaMask and all. You can do that. We provide the options in our model. You can use that anyways. So yeah, that was about it. And as I told you earlier, it is totally white labeled and totally flexible for any kind of gaming, because it is blockchain agnostic. So far, what I've shown you, we have these results from the industry. So far, like 8,000, around 7,000 developers has been integrating us, and we have total 9 million users throughout the world. And some of the notable games or devs which are using us are Binance, and even Ubisoft and Fox.com is using us in their NFT airdrops. So if you are a Web2 company who is transitioning to Web3 space, you should definitely look at us. So before moving forward to our UX checklist, I would be happy to answer some questions if you have regarding Web3 auth. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks for the talk. So I, as a user, can I get the access of my private key? You mentioned you have biometric, SSO login, and recovery share, right?
Right.
So can I get the seed phrase and then go to MetaMask or Coinbase wallet and enter my seed phrase and get started there.
Yeah, that's a good
Checking the
question.
intro.
So basically, we reconstruct the private key on the front end, right? So it is there on the front end. Your dApp or game can provide you an option to export your key. And key is a universal, private key is just a big number, 256-bit number, right? It is a universal truth. You can copy that key or export it and use any other wallet.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I guess we should move ahead. Uh, So now we'll see a UX checklist apart from onboarding. Like once your user is onboarded into your app, there should be some good user experience even after onboarding. I have created this small checklist that you can follow and should follow in your app to further improve the user experience. So I've seen this in many apps that most of the games or apps just provide you a screen which is totally like complicated for you, and it is made for only the advanced users. On the left side, you can see this is a screen from the Axie Infinity, which is a quite like popular game in the Web3 space. And even as a advanced user, you will find it easily. It will take you 10 to 15 minutes to get it onboarded because the process, all of the words written there, it's totally challenging for user to understand. And whereas on the right side, this is Web3 auth modal, which has higher chances of user being trying to use your app because he can simply try to use his existing Google or Facebook login and start playing game immediately. So your app should always consider catering to both advanced and mainstream users. And by advanced, I means you should always give the option to connect with any third-party wallet like MetaMask or Binance or Phantom in case of Solana. And our modal is totally chain agnostic, so we support Solana, Ethereum, and all the EVM compatible chains like Matic and Binance as well. So you can just plug and play and get started in 10 minutes. So the next thing is, once your user is logged into your app, you should never ask your user to like show the wallet immediately. Your user should have a like view of your app first. They should know your product first. Web3 is just a feature to add on, but it doesn't add any benefits to the user if he is not able to play or see the game first. So always show the wallet option later once he is able to see your game or app. Okay, so this is the interesting thing. In the Web2 world, how we verify users' identity. We do it via some OTPs or some email links, right? If we want to verify the user identity. But in Web3 world, there is no server involved. So how do I verify that you are the owner of a wallet that you are claiming to be? So there is a mechanism in Web3 that is user has to sign some message using his private key, and I will validate the message on the backend and will say that, yeah, you are a valid user. But sometimes this screen get very challenging for the user to understand. For example, on the left side, you can see it says a random message, hi there, this is your nonce. And I have seen this personally in many dApps. So this text can be very complicated for the user, and user might be stop using your app because it totally doesn't make any sense. Whereas on the right side, that shows a clear-cut message that, yeah, this is the purpose why we are asking you to sign this message, and which there are higher chances that their user will click confirm and proceed to further. Okay, so now at this point, your user is logged in. He has verified his identity using signing a message. Now he actually wants to play your game. And by playing a game, I mean that he want to do some transactions. He want to actually use the tokens in your game. But how to get those tokens? I'm a new user. I don't want to create an account on a exchange and then get the tokens, right? So there are some providers like MoonPay and Transact, and there are lot more. And we provide plugins for these providers, so that you can directly integrate them without going through the partnership process with them. So what MoonPay is good at, using MoonPay you can buy NFTs, and the specialty is that you can buy without doing KYC. So this is they launched this feature recently, and the Transact is good because it provides INR support. So if you are using your credit card, debit card, in India, you can buy your tokens from the Transact, and these can easily be integrated within your dApp, just like you do your transaction with Paytm or UPI inside your app. You can just integrate them via our plugins, or you can directly use them. But it is always good to have that users should be able to buy tokens inside your app rather than going outside to some third-party platform. The other way, if your country restrictions or compliance doesn't allow you to add those on-ramps, fiat on-ramps, as a workaround, you can provide gasless transactions. So gasless transactions is a concept using which you can pay for the users instead of user paying it. Because initially when user is coming to your app, he don't want to spend money. He first want to get the experience of app. You can provide some level of limit for their gasless transactions, maybe on a L2 chain, which is more cheaper than L1, like Matic, Polygon, or maybe Solana as well. That is also very cheap. So there are many providers out there, but some of the famous ones are Bikeonomy and OpenGGN or OpenGSN, Open Gas Station. So you can use them and you can build it yourself as well. It's a like buy versus build decision, but it is very easy to build as well if you want. Yeah, so now your user is onboarded. He verified his identity. He has some tokens or gasless transactions allocation. Now he will do some transactions, like he will do some micro transaction within the game or something. The transaction screen can get really complicated, and user will end up not doing the transaction because there are many stages involved in the transaction in the Web3 world. So a transaction is usually sent to blockchain, and it gets mined, and user has to monitor the status on blockchain explorer. So these are many complicated things which are going in the background. So you should clearly convey that this is the current stage of your transaction, how it is happening. Only then user will be able to communicate with your game. So on the left side, you can see that the screen is very vague. Your transaction is being processed. This can work in the Web2 space, and I've seen this in Web2 space in very many games or apps. This is fine. But in the Web3, you should clearly say that at what stage your transaction is being currently. And the final thing is, as I said earlier, there are a lot of jargons and new terms involved in the Web3 space. So try to minimize as much as you can the new terms and lingo. Wherever you cannot, because it gets sometimes very difficult to explain the technical terms, you can add tooltips or some explanation there on the UI. As you can see on the right side, this is a Torus wallet screen, and this is the best transaction screen that you can see. Whereas on the left side, it is just random terms, gas fee, gas price, which is totally alien to me as well initially. So yeah. So I think that's all from this talk. Now, if you want to get started with the Web3 auth, you should follow our documentation. You should visit docs.web3auth.io. We have a nice integration builder. You can just use that, and I can assure you that you will be able to run the example within 10 minutes within your own code editor. So we spent a lot of time on building this integration builder, and it's really good to view. And if there are any, at the end, I will say, if there are any Web2 developers who are moving to Web3 games, we have a booth outside. Feel free to drop in and say hi. And if there are any Web3 games, we would love to work with you. Please reach out to us. And yeah, also we are hiring Unity developers, so feel free to apply or reach us on Telegram. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Himanshu.